You have a really good idea for a new offer or a new lead magnet or a strategy that you're absolutely sure is going to work to be able to reach more of the clients that you want to work with and to market and to sell them what you have to offer. The only problem is you can never seem to get enough space to really think through all of these ideas or enough runway to be able to execute on them. And in today's video, I'm going to cover the ready to launch system, which is what I normally structure companies' marketing initiatives around. And I have done this for thousands of companies for over 846 go to market launches. And this is a very flexible framework that you can start using today. Hi, I'm Sarah Paikai. Welcome to part 2 of the series on what I call the bottleneck elimination system roadmap. So again, I'm very outcome based in how I do things. So the outcome of the ready to launch system is marketing campaign management so that your team can see in real time what's happening, what's coming up, what's working really well or not. And so I have designed this as a very, 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 very simple mind map that exists that kind of shows the flow of work in a company when it comes to marketing and selling, whether it's just there are many different types of funnels and strategies that exist. But whether you are in person connecting with people to close a sale, or maybe you take sales calls, maybe people are going direct to a sales page to buy from you. Maybe you have a lead magnet that you're using to list build, and then you retarget them either to a sales page or to a live workshop or directly to book a call with you. So many options that are out there. And again, I've done over 846 go-to-market launches in many, many, many different industries of companies of different sizes, people who are making, we're making 5 figures in revenue, 6 figures in revenue, 7 figures in revenue, 8 figures in revenue, 9 figures in revenue as well annually. And so this is a very streamlined, flexible structure that can scale up or down depending on the size of your business and how you do your marketing activities. And it's meant to just show you some of the core areas that you really should be considering giving strategy to, giving runway to when you intend to take a new product or offer, or even an existing product or offer to market. If you have a lead magnet that you're doing, when I say lead magnet, it can be anything from a quiz to a live workshop or webinar. It could be an evergreen webinar. It could be an in-person type of group meeting event that you have that people can come to, where at the end of it, you're going to be able to invite them into doing work with you. It can be a storefront site. It could be a sit-down meeting that you have. It could be a phone call that you try to get people to, where it could be where you go on site to them to be able to create a proposal or a quote or an estimate. So all of these things is really geared around how do you connect with more people, get in front of more people, get more eyeballs on what you do, and explain to people what you do so that they're interested in moving forward to take the next step. Now, these are the processes, the systems, the technology, the checklists that we use in these different areas, and I categorize them in these buckets here. You can pretty much ignore, I've listed my most recommended things in these brackets, so you can ignore the brackets for now because I know that every person's business model is different, everybody's industry is different, every industry has different regulations, all of these things. So these are just my favorites that I've listed there. But the way that it works, we start first with strategy. So we really look at the offer. What is the main offer? And then 1 or 2 upsell, downsell, cross-sell offers. That means the main offer should be the most, it's the main offer, so duh, right? But it should be the thing that people most commonly buy. And after they buy it, could you upsell them? Or even before they buy it, if they're overly qualified and they can buy a bigger package or a bigger product, that's the upsell. If they're not qualified for the main offer, then it would be a downsell. Or if there's something that you can attach to the main offer that just makes it even better, it would be the cross-sell offer. I'm not going to get too much into what these things are. I'm sure Kajana will have a different video on this channel at some point explaining what an offer stack is. But these are the three main areas. And then we think about lead magnet funnels. How do you collect leads and collect interest? This can be anything from, they can opt in. It's as long as you can collect their information and opt in, their name, their email, the phone number, if applicable. This is sometimes segmentation. It just depends on the overarching strategy that you have for it. But this is the lead magnet funnel that exists. And it can be as complex as a workshop that if they did or did not attend, they get a certain type of email sequence that does or does not encourage them to book a call. And when they land on the book a call page, it qualifies or disqualifies them and then sends them to different places. Kajan's got a lot of videos on these things. So it can be very complex, or it could be as simple as like, do you want 20% off your first visit? Give us your name and email address, right? Like it can be that simple. And so when we say lead magnet funnel, it just depends. Again, it depends on the strategy. And then it goes into the book a call funnel, which Kajan has many videos, I know, explaining on the disqualification, how you qualify or disqualify somebody. It attaches into your CRM system. Our go-to CRM system is obviously High Level. We have our own version of that called Aloha Apps that we use that is customized for business owners like yourself. And then inside of High Level, there is a sales tracker or a pipeline that exists. And then once your sales call is had, it can lead into and integrate into company data and reports that are happening there. High Level also handles all payments made, whether it is a recurring, whether it's a one-time invoice, a recurring invoice, a payment link, a recurring subscription that happens through a payment link. There's a lot of different varieties that you can do to set it up. And then that also allows High Level to then track if somebody is late or has missed payments and to automatically send notifications to them, types of emails to them, notifications to you if you want them. And that all gets set up within the CRM system itself. What I really wanted to talk to you about today is really thinking through a couple things. So from a systems perspective, it's important that all of that infrastructure that I just explained is set up, right? You need somewhere to get calls booked. You need somewhere to take payments, to track payments that are recurring from a system perspective. You need to be able to know that you're not wasting your time on leads. You need to have a way that is interesting. And then you need a sellable offer that people really like buying. So there's a lot of that strategy that happens and infrastructure that sets up. But the things that I think really make this a ready to launch system and not just a funnel system is these pieces here. So I want to start with this idea of the marketing campaign and traffic management. Okay, so in this process here, it's really, really, really important that you are tracking across the year at any given time what you plan to launch and when. And not only the types of launches that you have, but that you're also blocking out time beforehand to get everything reviewed, to look at the data from your last campaign, to write the strategy, to really think that through, to set everything up, to create the assets, and that you have some space after the cart closes or after that the campaign is done to go back and to reassess what worked and what didn't work. I call this a 4x7, where essentially there are 4 sets of 7 days. You take 7 days to go back and look at all the data from your previous campaigns and really distill out what that means. Then you take 7 days to really think through, based off of the data, to make some decisions around how you are going to change or edit or up level any of the existing things like your funnel or your CRM system or whatever it is. What has to be adjusted from an assets perspective of the, again, landing pages, email copy, tech, scheduling links. Like depending on what the data says, you've got to make decisions around how you're integrating that data into the actual practical pieces of a launch. And then you take 7 days to actually do all of the things that you have decided you're going to do so that the team can just really understand the context of what the data was, what decisions were made. Then they have to go and then they have to just implement and do all the changes itself. Then the launch happens. And after the launch is done, because that can be anywhere from 2 weeks to, if you're promoting a live event, it can be multiple 2-week sprints until it's like 3 months long. There's a lot of variables. After the launch is done and the cart is closed, like nobody can buy anymore based on this launch, the special is up or whatever, you take one more set of 7 days to really collate all of the data together of this past launch. How did it go? Looking at the metrics, thinking through what was the health, what worked really well, what didn't work, what were your conversion rates, how many people did you have opt-in, where did they come from, why did it matter, which parts of the sales page worked really well, which was the best performing email, that you're taking 7 days just to document all of those things, because it's a 4x7, right? The next time you launch, in that first set of 7 days when you're reviewing data, you need that data available to be able to review it again. So really just thinking, like, a lot of times I think that people think, oh, okay, well, I have this idea for a lead magnet. I have this idea for an event. I have this idea for a quiz that I'd like to do. And I'm going to spend a lot of time building the funnel, like a lot of time building the funnel. But not everybody is really thinking through how to adjust and how to create the right amount of runway so that they are properly preparing the data, that they're properly looking at what's coming up, that they're giving themselves the time to decide, and not just to think and oh, but it could be this, or it could, like really just setting aside the next 7 days after you review the data for 7 days to make decisions, and then giving space for the work to be done to make those edits. Now, if you're doing a brand new lift, you're going to need more than 7 days. Your team is going to need more than 7 days to lift a funnel. But if it's just like pulling out old landing pages or sales pages, adjusting copy, adjusting the checkout page, they still might need a little bit more than 7 days, depending how complex it is. But that you have a designated time to do that. And then once the launch is done, giving yourself the week after cart closes to really reassemble all of the things and look at it. Okay. So that's I think the biggest lever that people don't really think about. They think about what is it going to take to make the offer that they're trying to sell, and what is it going to take to make the lead magnet. And sure, that's valid. Those should be integrated somewhere in there if it's a new build. But either way, you really need to think about that stack of the 4x7. How are you really putting those things in place to give yourself time to intentionally be with those sectors? Because it's really, really important to the ongoing ecosystem that is being ready to launch at any given time, and not getting stuck with, hey, now it's the end of the year and we had 8 great ideas and we did 2 of them. Right? Sometimes you need 8 launches in a year. Sometimes you need 20 launches in a year. That sounds exhausting. Sometimes you need 12 launches in a year to really hit your revenue goals. But if you are always reinventing things from scratch and spending all of your runway just trying to make some decisions, but not fully committing to something, and then all of a sudden now you need your team to turn this around in 3 days, it's not practical. And I'm not calling anybody out, I promise. I just have done, again, 846 go-to-market launches across many different teams. Some of the teams are fully employed. They have an in-house marketing department, all the way down to it's like a contractor that they picked up just for this particular launch. And so I've done a lot of use cases, a lot of scenarios. And the thing is that the emphasis is being put in the wrong location. Most of the emphasis is being put on, like, what is the strategy? What is the offer? What is the lead magnet? What do we want that to be? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's important. That is an important part of it. And they're not putting an equal amount of emphasis in understanding that, looking and reviewing the data of what has worked before, making decisions that we're going to stick to for the whole launch, giving the actual time to adjust based off of the decisions with the context. And then on the back end of the launch, prioritizing that they really take a break instead of rolling into the next thing, taking a short break to be able to pull together all of the data and the lessons learned and talking that through to close that loop. Okay, so that's my 4x7 that I really encourage you to at least try to put 7 days in each of those buckets as you are standing those things up. So as you have, imagining that philosophy to be true, another resource, 2 resources that are really helpful for launching itself is a marketing campaign dashboard. This is one space, whether you have a Google Sheet, or it's in Notion, or you're using Airtable or some kind of reporting that you have, it's really important that you have something where everyone can see in real time how the core pieces of content are performing in a particular launch. So some of the things that like you could think about tracking is conversions on any given page, traffic. So if you're doing paid ads, cold outbound, word of mouth, you want to be able to track all of your industry standard. What is lower benchmarks? Are you hitting lower benchmarks? What actually are there? For your emails, what open rates, click-through rates are, things like that that you have that is helpful for making decisions. Obviously, for sales calls, how many calls were booked, how many people showed up, how many people converted into the offer, the main offer, the downsell, how many people are in follow-up, and then the revenue, what is the total amount of revenue closed, how much time is left in this launch versus how much money you're expecting to collect. Like really, we have a very clear process that we do, and we can automate a lot of it. And also we can also splice that data or set up the data to be viewed in many different fashions. AI and automations, right? That's the whole thing. So there's a lot that we can do there, but the core of it is that you have one place that somebody can go to at any given time and see the health of how the launch is doing. And again, it doesn't tell you what decisions you should make. Obviously, there's still the discernment and judgment and the strategy that you have to think through and be present with. But being able to see all of those inputs are super, super, super important in real time to make decisions during a launch itself or leading up into a launch. And then categorizing and getting a snapshot of that final should help you, again, review the data and make decisions quickly-ish within 2 7-day stacks to be able to really just decide and look at what needs to be adjusted for what's going forward. And then the next one is, this is my favorite one because as a project manager and as an operations consultant, I love this. I love calculators. I love me a good rinse and repeat sort of process. But a calculator that you set up that basically lists out every time you're going to launch something. These are all the pieces of what you have to do. I'm not talking about every single step, like adjust the tag, make a new payment form, write headline copy. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just the anchors of things that have to get done in preparation for launch, during the launch, and after the launch. So it includes a lot of the things that I just talked about before, and that you have one and that you use it very religiously. Okay. If you ever found yourself saying like, oh my gosh, we never have enough runway, we don't have enough time, we're just like in back-to-back launches, we needed more time to prepare this, and these things all didn't get done, and we ran out of time. And like, if you find any of those things being true for how you feel about your launches, probably you don't have a project management calculator, like a launch management calculator, just one that sets up, here's all the things that need to get done and how long each of those pieces take every time we launch in general buckets. Or you're not using it because you're not planning in advance far enough, which is why I go back to that stack of 4x7, which is the very first rule is pulling the data together and giving yourself really focusing. Like by the end of the 7 days, I'm going to finish reviewing this data. And by the next 7 days after that, I'm going to make decisions on what's going to happen with the campaign. And that's what we're going to roll forward. Now, I know that not every launch is static like that. When you get into it, you're going to see really quickly whether your suppositions were accurate or not. You might have to adjust and change or do different things. But having this system in place is important so that your marketing department, not just your marketing department, but that even like your customer service representative who's in the inbox answering questions when they happen, they all need a cadence. They need to know that when we do this thing, this is what it feels like pretty consistently. And even though the names and faces may change and we may, to protect the innocent, no, I'm just joking. Even though the names and faces may change as we're doing this, the cadence of how this rolls out in the company, the system that we use to get things launched and live is pretty consistent in what we can expect. And if you are the founder and you are the CEO or you're the operator, you're the CMO watching this video, and you are not holding yourself accountable to be disciplined to making the space to review the data and make decisions and then give directions for what needs to update, every launch that feels like panic and stress and overwhelm because you ran out of runway starts with you. You are the only person who can fix that hustle type of craziness at the start. Now, if you're good about doing I'm not saying that just because you're good, if you are at doing the data review and decision making, it doesn't mean that every launch is going to go smoothly and there's not going to be craziness. It's a launch, right? Like there's a lot that happens and you just don't know. There's a lot of things you do know and there's a lot of things that you don't know. And the team has to be willing and ready to quickly adjust, your marketing team, whoever's working on it, to adjust and to turn out work fast as needed to really be able to hit the metrics that you want for any given launch or campaign. So I'm not saying that just because you're the only problem. What I am saying is that if that first two in that 4x7 stack is not solved for, it's going to be really, really, really difficult for that trickle down effect to be solved later. Okay. So if you're looking for something that you can control as a CEO, as a founder, as the main operator, as the CMO, that part of the data and the decisions that allow everything to roll out, please start there and then have this type of flexible structure in place so that everybody who is working in the marketing department and or on the marketing campaigns can use the system to eliminate as many bottlenecks as possible.